Your Majesty at your service. Welcome to Fair Queen Talks. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of my podcast, Expectations. Earlier this week, I had the pleasure to have a conversation with Carmel on my Tapping Into Your Greatness at F&B Radio talk show. And if any of you still haven't checked it out, it comes out every single Monday from 6 till 7 p.m. UK time. And if you aren't able to catch it live, you are able to catch it on YouTube. That's where the recording basically also gets played. So check out my YouTube channel for that. But we had an amazing conversation, Carmel and I, earlier this week. And one of the things that she spoke about was the fact that she is in her 20s and how her goals are not revolved around her age, but she has expectations for herself. So when it comes to setting goals, especially life goals like career planning, family planning, property ladder, and so forth, we can sometimes fall victim to attaching a number to it. That number should be associated with our financial ability or mental resilience rather than our age. But for some reason, we attach certain goals with an age. So my question to myself this week was, what's the basis for my expectations per era? So like your 20s, 30s, 40s. Is age nothing but a number? Or should our age indicate our achievements in life? So like Carmel, I'm happy to be in my 20s, but I also know I am 29. And I have no shame in that at all. But saying that out loud and thinking about it when I turned 29 earlier this month, it really started me thinking about, I'm going to be 30 next year, and that's going to be my new decade. And growing up, I've been led to think that as a 30-year-old, or when I turned 30, as a woman, I would know who I was, be settled in both my career and family life, and generally just live my best life. The truth of the matter is that things are coming together, ready for me the way I thought I was going to start the decade, but how things have turned out for me didn't happen in the order I thought it would be growing up. So like I said, I'm very happy with my life, and I now have the wisdom to understand the importance of all of my life experiences that led me to this place and this space at this time. But with hindsight, we can always be grateful and see the major lessons of life. But when you're going through life and things aren't working out the way you want them to, it's a very hard fact to swallow. So on this episode today, I want to speak to you about how to deal with not meeting your own expectations for yourself. This is not about cultural or societal expectations for us as human beings, but the things that we subscribe to in our minds. It is my hope that you will not wait for the future or hindsight to appreciate the weight that you are experiencing right now with certain expectations. Where you are at your age is part of your life journey, and your expectations for yourself can help you, guide you to make the right decisions so that when the moment comes for you to meet your expectations, you're ready. So as you're listening today, I want you to take the time to, really self-reflect and think about your expectations for yourself. And if you're finding it hard to do so, I would like you to reframe the question and perhaps think about things that you wish you could have done by now or been right now. What do you regret having done before? What should have you avoided? Understanding your own expectations for yourself will allow us as people to have greater control into what we invite in our lives and what we invest our energy into. So let's start by digging and see how this questioning takes place with ourselves. So, for example, let's say you legitimately wanted to be a millionaire before you're 30. Let's say that that's your expectation for yourself. But every time you look at your bank account, it's an overdraft or just very low numbers. Are you telling me that you're seriously expecting this for yourself, or is it just wishful thinking with no true intention? Because when you have an expectation for yourself, for anything, this expectation will drive you and drive your actions towards that goal. So if you expect to be a millionaire, you should also expect to work hard. Expect to grind when your peers are having fun. Expect to save and invest into, your funds into good things and reviewing your portfolio, your financial portfolio monthly. If you expect to be a millionaire, you will understand and appreciate that time is money and you will respect every single minute that goes by. There is no time to be lazy or to not be bothered. So, do you really want to be a millionaire? So, that's the kind of thing you gotta do. When we realize that the work that is required behind our expectations, we may think twice about it, or you will thrive, and that will be the source of your motivation. Many years ago, I was at a youth conference, and the speaker asked us, "Where do you want to be when you're 40?" And as a 14-year-old listening to that, that looked so far away. But as I was traveling through, or still traveling through my 20s, it's not looking that far away anymore. So I started to think to myself when I was a 14-year-old, where do I want to be at a certain age? It hasn't been my experience that things didn't happen, or it has been my experience that things didn't happen at the age I wanted. But I've also come to understand that I wasn't mature enough to be able to handle the choice that would lead to that. So, as an example, I will share when I was 18, I was a very, very ambitious, career driven student. And I was able to secure a really good internship. And this internship could have been it for me. I mean, it could have allowed me to work throughout my studies, do my placement year, then have my career there. It would have been a place to really grow and start my career. But besides my ambition, I didn't really look after my health, and I didn't have, I had that thinking of work hard, play hard, and I couldn't really manage and balance it all. I was too immature to handle a step into my career at that young age when I was still busy doing everything and not really focusing on the most important things, or shall I say, long term things. Needless to say, I expected to start my career after my bachelor's. That was my goal. But I was too occupied understanding my place in the world as a young woman who just left home to pursue her future. Is it wrong to have expectations when you're a student? No, I think it's a good thing. But we also have to be mindful and be kind to ourselves to allow us to grow and mature so that we can live up to our own expectations. So at 18, when I had that opportunity, if I had given myself the time to, or expected to first find myself, I think it would have been a whole different story. It's also similar to when I think about my pre-marriage dating life. I've always expected myself, from when I was young, to be married at some point to a loving person with whom I could grow with, build a family with, share a home, share my faith, and again, live my best life. Yet, the choices I was making were quite the opposite. It's the very classic Mr. Right Now versus Mr. Right. I mean, how can you date someone for convenience and enjoyment if you're seeking everlasting fulfillment and commitment? My disappointment in dating life before wasn't with the people, but was more so with myself. Because in the process of dating, you may meet people who are dating you for the long term. But if you don't have that intention, that doesn't match. Not only are you wasting the time of other people and their feelings, but you're also delaying the process of being available to the person that is right for you. So when it comes to meeting your own expectations for yourself, timing and preparation is everything. I got to a point in my life where I questioned about my future career and relationship. I knew that I both wanted to have a career and a marriage and for those things to be meaningful. But my timeline that I had for myself was working against me and adding to my frustration. But I'm very happy that it worked out the way it did. You see, you have your expectations for yourself, but God or the universe, whatever your belief is, has something better in place. If you trust your process, it is easier to digest your life journey. Sometimes you will get more than you expect, and it may leave you wondering, how am I going to do all of this? I recall when I got pregnant and knew I was going to have twins, in my heart of hearts, I knew and I was so grateful that I was starting a family. But I had so much going on. I was completing my master's degree. I just started my first meaningful job in my career. And I felt like I was going to give up my career for a family, and it was a hard moment. But long story short, I managed to keep both the job and successfully birth my girls. But it wasn't an easy journey as I was going through it. As much as things went crazy for me throughout my 20s, I feel like now I'm aligning to the timeline I had in my head when I reached 30. From what I now know, I know that I want to meet my expectations for myself at the age of 30. And to do so successfully, I have to continue to do what I'm doing every single day. Like working towards my goals, evaluating myself every month, and maybe prioritize and reevaluate how I do things. And even if I don't tick all of my boxes and achieve everything I've set for myself, I have put myself in a better position to be at a point that is right for me. Goals that involve only yourself are far easier to manage, but when it comes to things that are not in your control, like career, relationships, you've got to be patient and trust the process. You can only do your part, and as long as you put the work in and give it your all, that's the most important thing, because it's all about habits. Whether you meet your expectation or not shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be to be consistent in doing the work required to get there. Just like this podcast, I do my bit, share my learnings with you. But it is your choice to do the work and tap into your greatness. And it is my hope that you do. At the end of each episode, I address the queendom. Understand your expectations for yourself. Be willing to work towards your goals. Self-reflect on your actions and choices and see whether they reflect well on your expectations. Be ready when you do meet your expectations. And remember, where you are at your age is where you should be in your life journey. Thank you so much for listening to Fairy Queen Talks. See you next time.